Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into the world of integrated poultry farming today, basically raising both broilers and layers together.
Exactly. We've got a whole stack of sources here, research papers, industry guides, you name it.
Right, a real mix.
And our job really is to pull out the key stuff. We want to give you a solid understanding of how these dual-purpose farms actually work, the good parts, the tricky parts, without, drowning you in technical terms.
Kind of a shortcut to getting up to speed on it all.
That's the idea.
Okay, so diving in. It really seems like the foundation here is all in the planning, the strategy. It's not just like having two types of chickens wandering around.
Oh, absolutely not. It's
Yeah.
how they fit together. And one of the first things you notice is the economics, the balancing act.
How so?
Well, you've got your broilers, right? They grow fast, 6, maybe 8 weeks, and they're ready. Quick turnover.
Yeah.
But then you have the layers. They take much longer to even start laying, like 18 to 22 weeks, and then they lay for a good year, year and a half.
Ah, okay. Very different timelines. That sounds like a challenge financially.
It is. The sources really hammer home the need to understand your local market. Is there more demand for meat or eggs? Can you get premium prices for, say, organic or free range?
Right. Market research first.
Definitely. And the numbers are interesting. At scale, commercially, broilers might net you maybe $2 or $3 profit per bird, and you can run maybe 5 cycles a year.
Okay.
Layers, though, they could bring in $15 to $25 per hen per year, just in egg revenue.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite a difference per bird, but over a longer time. So what does that look like overall, like for a decent-sized farm?
Well, let's imagine a 10,000 bird operation. The estimates suggest you could potentially see around $50,000 a year profit from the broilers,
Okay.
and maybe $200,000 from the layers. Assuming, good production, maybe 80% peak lay.
So significant potential on the layer side if managed well.
Exactly. But these are just ballpark figures, obviously. Depends hugely on managing feed costs, keeping disease out, having buyers lined up. The real takeaway is how you strategically weave those different cycles together. Using shared resources, maybe one buffers the other if the market for meat or eggs dips.
Makes sense. So you've got the money side mapped out. What about the actual farm, the buildings? I'm guessing you can't just chuck them all in one barn.
No, absolutely not. That's a really critical point in all the sources. Separate housing is essential. Broilers and layers have different needs.
Right. So what are the specs for broilers?
The key thing is stocking density. Commercial standards pretty tight, maybe 0.5 to 0.7 square feet per bird. You're doing free range, it's more like 1 square foot.
A bit more room to move.
Yeah. And ventilation is huge for broilers. They grow fast, produce a lot of heat and moisture. The guideline is something like 0.3 to 0.5 cubic meters of air per hour per kilogram of bird weight.
Okay. Sounds technical, but basically means lots of fresh air.
Keeps respiratory problems down, keeps the litter dry, it's vital.
And layers. Their setup must be different again.
Totally. They need nesting boxes, obviously. The rule of thumb is about 1 box for every 3 or 4 hens. They need perches to roost on at night. And a good system for collecting the eggs, whether it's manual or automated.
Okay.
Lighting is also key for layers-controlled lighting programs, trigger and maintain egg production. And if you go free range for layers, you need that outdoor space at least 4 square feet per bird, secure fencing, probably 6 feet high, and a coop that's safe from predators.
Right. Lots to consider for the physical setup. Now, thinking about all those birds, that's a lot of manure. How does an integrated farm handle waste sustainably?
Now this is where you see some really neat synergy potential. You got broiler litter, maybe 3.5 kilos per bird over its life, and layer manure, about 0.12 kilos per hen each day.
Okay.
You can actually compost these together, and what you get is a really good balanced fertilizer. The sources mention an NPK ratio around 2:3:2.
Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So slightly higher in phosphorus.
Yeah, exactly. It's a valuable resource created from a waste product right there on the farm.
That's smart. How much are we talking from that 10,000 bird example?
Annually, you could be looking at maybe 35 tons of broiler litter and over 4 tons of layer manure.
Wow.
Yeah, and the sources estimate there could be enough fertilizer for about 20 hectares of crops, roughly 50 acres.
That's pretty substantial. Okay, so fertilizer is one sustainable angle. Are there others, like energy?
Definitely. Renewable energy is a big one.
Yeah.
You can actually use poultry litter in anaerobic digesters to produce biogas.
Really?
Yeah, the figures suggest about 0.35 cubic meters of gas per kilo of litter solids. Or, looking at it another way, maybe 650 kilowatt hours of energy per ton of litter. And solar power, of course. A decent-sized solar setup, say 50 kilowatts, could potentially knock off a big chunk of your electricity costs, maybe 40% of your ventilation bill, for example.
So reducing costs and environmental footprint at the same time?
That's the goal, creating a more, circular system.
Okay, so we're seeing the upside, economically and environmentally, but farming has risks. What about disease outbreaks? That must be a nightmare scenario.
Oh, probably the biggest risk, yeah. And you absolutely need solid crisis plans. If disease hits, the first thing is immediate compartmentalization. Seal off the affected unit, fast, within 4 hours, ideally.
4 hours, wow.
To stop the spread.
Okay.
Then you need clear protocols for depopulation. Often CO2 euthanasia for broilers needs to happen quickly, less than 72 hours. Layer flocks might need culling too. It's harsh, but necessary.
Yeah.
And after that, it's all about disinfection. Super thorough, like a 7-day dry clean, then a 3-day wet clean, and then leaving the barn empty fallow for maybe 14 days before any new birds come in.
A very strict cleanup process.
Has to be. One slip up there can be catastrophic. It underlines the need for constant vigilance.
Definitely. What about other risks like the market? Meat and egg prices go up and down, right?
They do. They can be really volatile. So you need buffers. One strategy mentioned is using forward contracts. Lock in a price for a decent chunk of your production, maybe 40 to 60%. Gives you some stability.
Okay, some guaranteed sales.
Yeah. And diversification helps too, like value adding, processing your spent layers. The older hens that aren't laying well anymore into pet food, for example, apparently you can recover about 35% of their value that way.
Interesting.
And for eggs, you can process them. Liquid pasteurization extends the shelf life dramatically, like up to 90 days. That gives you way more flexibility on when and where you sell.
It's clear this isn't just old school farming. Technology must be playing a bigger and bigger role.
Oh, hugely. Precision farming is really taking off. For broilers, you've got things like infrared thermography. It can measure bird temperature really accurately, like plus minus 0.3 degrees Celsius.
And that helps how?
Spotting health issues early. A slight fever can be the first sign something's wrong.
Clever. What about for layers?
RFID leg bands are becoming more common. Radio frequency ID lets you track individual hen performance, who's laying, who's not.
Individual tracking, wow.
Yeah. And then there's automated environmental control, using sensors for things like ammonia, keeping it below 10 parts per million, and CO2 below 3,000 ppm. These sensors talk to variable frequency drive fans, VFD fans, that adjust ventilation automatically in real time.
So using tech to keep the environment optimal based on actual conditions. What happens with all that data?
That feeds into data analytics platforms. Machine learning models are getting really good at predicting things.
Like what?
Like broiler market weights. They can predict it within maybe plus or minus 2% accuracy 2 weeks before harvest.
That's pretty precise.
Yeah, and predicting layer flock persistency, how long the flock will maintain high egg production. The sources mention models with an R-squared of 0.89. That's a very strong predictive ability.
So it tells you how long your hens will keep laying well.
Basically, yeah. And these platforms can also crunch the numbers on feed formulations, looking for ways to optimize ingredients and potentially cut feed costs by, say, 5 to 7%.
Amazing how data-driven it's become. Now, something I saw in the notes was about getting more meat, even from layer breeds. That feels a bit counterintuitive.
It does, traditionally. Layers were bred for eggs, broilers for meat. But yeah, there's definitely growing interest in either using specific dual-purpose breeds or figuring out how to get more value from the male layer chicks.
Ah, the male chicks. That's been a big ethical issue, hasn't it? The culling.
Exactly. So raising those male layer chicks for meat is seen as a much more sustainable and, well, ethical alternative.
Does it work well? Do they grow okay?
Research shows it can, especially if you tweak their diet. Adding certain probiotics like lactobacillus or bifidobacterium species seems to help improve their growth, how efficiently they use feed, and even the meat quality. And of course, getting the nutrition right, protein, energy, vitamins, minerals is crucial. Some studies are even looking at natural additives, like pine needle extracts, believe it or not.
Pine needles. Huh. And it's not just feed, I guess. The environment matters too.
Oh, absolutely. Things like using the right kind of LED lighting program can actually influence their growth and meat characteristics. Good health management is vital to stressed. Birds don't grow well.
Makes sense.
And on the ethics front, besides raising the males, there's a lot of work going into in ovo sex determination. figuring out the sex before the chick even hatches.
Right, so you wouldn't hatch the males in the first place.
That's the long-term goal for many.
This is all fascinating. Okay, so if you wanted a truly integrated, maybe even self-sufficient farm, breeding your own birds seems like the next level. How does that work with both broilers and layers? Must be tricky.
It's definitely complex. You need very distinct breeding programs side by side
Why is
because the goals are totally different. For broilers, you're selecting purely for rapid growth, feed efficiency, meat yield. Think breeds like Cobb 500. You use techniques like genomic selection, looking at the DNA, and testing siblings, SIB testing.
Okay, focused on meat traits.
Exactly. For layers, like Leghorns, it's all about egg numbers, egg quality, how long they lay for. So the selection criteria and mating strategies, often controlled mating, are completely different.
So you'd literally need 2 separate breeder flocks on the farm.
Yes, separate housing, tailored lighting, specific temperatures, different nutrition plans for the breeder birds at different stages.
Yeah.
And biosecurity for breeder flocks has to be absolutely ironclad. They're the source of your whole operation.
Right, protecting the genetic core.
Yeah. And then you have the challenge of synchronizing everything so you have a steady supply of both broiler and layer chicks when you need them. There are actually simulation tools now to help plan all that out.
Wow, okay. It sounds like underpinning all of this growth, eggs, breeding as feed, getting the diet right seems absolutely critical.
It's fundamental. Can't overstate it. For layers, the diet needs to support that long laying cycle and keep them healthy. You're looking at around 14 to 16% protein.
Yeah.
Calcium is critical for eggshells, so about 3.5% calcium is needed.
Right.
Plus the right balance of energy, vitamins, minerals. Often maize and soybean meal are the base, and you usually need to supplement with oyster shell or limestone for that extra calcium.
Okay.
And their needs change. So you have different feeds for brooding, rearing, and the main laying phase, sometimes adding things like probiotics or omega-3 sources too.
And broilers need a different mix for that super fast growth.
Completely different trajectory. They need much higher protein, especially early on, like 20 to 22.5% in the starter feed.
Yeah.
Then it drops a bit in the grower phase, maybe 18, 20%, and then down again to 15, 18% in the finisher phase just before market.
Okay, tapering off the protein.
Yeah, as their energy needs change. They need a lot of metabolizable energy overall, plus carefully balanced amino acids, minerals, vitamins to build muscle so quickly. Base ingredients might be similar maize, soy, but people are looking at herbal additives, purified amino acids, anything to optimize that rapid growth efficiently. It's like feeding a sprinter versus a marathon runner.
Good analogy. Now, we've talked a lot about the grown birds, but that very first stage, brooding the chicks, seems so important, getting them off to a good start. Are the strategies similar for layer and broiler chicks?
There are definitely common needs, but also key differences reflecting what you want them to become. Both need warmth, obviously, starting around 87 to 92 Fahrenheit, then gradually reducing it week by week.
Okay.
Humidity needs to be right too, 50, 60%. Good air quality, keeping ammonia low, under 4 ppm ideally. Lighting often starts at 24 hours for both, then gets reduced.
And the actual brooder space?
Needs to be clean, dry, draft-free. Insulated boxes or pens work well. Enough space is crucial, at least 50 square centimeters per chick, maybe more, to avoid crowding and stress.
Right, and feed.
Critical from day one. High-quality starter feed, but the protein levels differ. Layer chicks usually get around 18–20% protein. Broiler chicks need that bit extra, more like 22.5%.
For that faster growth.
Exactly. And clean fresh water is non-negotiable for both. One specific thing for layer chicks, though, is getting enough phosphorus early on. It's vital for their bone development, which supports them through their long-laying life.
Ah, okay. So how do you know if you've got the brooding conditions right? Can you just tell by looking at the chicks?
To a large extent, yes. Monitoring their behavior is key.
Yeah.
If they're spread out evenly under the heat source, chirping contentedly, moving around, eating, drinking, that's usually a good sign they're comfortable.
And if they're not?
If they're all huddled tightly together, they're probably too cold. If they're panting, wings held out, staying away from the heat, they're too hot. Their behavior tells you a lot. And remember the goal. For layers, you're building a strong frame and reproductive system for the long haul. For broilers, it's all about maximizing that early model growth.
Makes sense. Okay, running a breeding program, managing all these birds, you must always be thinking about health issues. What are the big ones people need to watch out for on an integrated farm?
Yeah, there's unfortunately quite a list. Respiratory diseases are always a concern. Things like mycoplasmosis, infectious bronchitis, ILT, Newcastle disease, and the big one, avian influenza.
Okay, respiratory is major.
Digestive issues. Coccidiosis is a common parasitic one. Bacterial infections like colabacillosis from E. coli. Worms can be a problem too. For layers, you can get reproductive disorders like egg binding. Then there are other viruses like fowlpox, Marek's disease, gumboro, external parasites too, mites, lice. And sometimes problems just come from poor management, like bad nutrition or stress.
It's a minefield.
Yeah.
How do you possibly prevent all that, especially with both broilers and layers potentially sharing, well, not space, but the same farm?
Prevention is everything. You can't realistically treat your way out of major outbreaks. Number one is rock-solid biosecurity, meaning strict separation. Keep broilers and layers physically separate. Keep different age groups separate. Use an all-in, all-out system for broiler houses. Empty the whole house, clean and disinfect thoroughly, then bring in the next batch. Don't share equipment between broiler and layer areas if you can help it. Strict hygiene for anyone entering barns, boot dips, clean overalls, limiting visitors. It's all crucial.
Okay, biosecurity first. What else?
Vaccination programs are essential, tailored to the diseases common in your area. Good nutrition builds strong immune systems, and constant monitoring, spotting any signs of trouble early.
Got it. So thinking about sustainability again, beyond the waste and energy, we talked about what other practices make an integrated farm truly sustainable.
Well, we touched on tech using digital tools, IoT sensors for real-time monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
That allows for smarter decisions, less waste.
Right.
If you have the land, rotational grazing or pasture systems are great. Movable pens, good for welfare, good for the land, can reduce feed costs. Integrated pest management using natural methods to control pests instead of just spraying chemicals. Technology can help biosecurity too, like AI systems that analyze bird sounds or images to detect early signs of disease.
AI disease detection. Wow.
Yeah, it's developing. And then there's the whole ethical dimension, ensuring good welfare, enough space, allowing natural behaviors. Sourcing feed sustainably is big too, maybe using local ingredients or exploring alternative like insect meal.
Insect meal. Interesting.
Water conservation is important, using efficient drinkers, maybe rainwater harvesting. Even the farm layout itself, planting trees or vegetation buffers can enhance biodiversity and act as windbreaks or screens. It's really a holistic approach.
It sounds like it. Now, looking at all this research, all these best practices, are there areas where we maybe don't know enough yet? Any sort of blind spots?
That's a good question. Yeah, there probably are. For instance, while we vaccinate for major diseases, the impact of some others, like maybe spider liver disease, or even the subtle effects of things like pesticide residues in feed, might need more study. And while alternative feeds like insect meal are promising, we need more research on their long-term effects and economic viability at scale. Also, how different environmental factors or welfare practices really impact production efficiency, sometimes that's not fully captured in studies.
Mm-hmm.
Integrating the sophisticated genetic models with the practicalities of running a breeding program on a commercial farm, there's probably room for improvement there. And better economic models that really account for market swings and do deep cost-benefit analyses of different integrated strategies.
Right, more real-world economic.
Yeah. Plus, really digging into sustainability metrics beyond just carbon footprint and better integrating food safety monitoring, like residue testing, into the whole system picture. Lots still to explore.
Definitely sounds like it. Okay, this has been incredibly thorough. If someone listening is now thinking, okay, maybe I could do this, what are the absolute first steps they need to take to start an integrated chicken farm?
First step, always, is research and planning. Deep research. Understand your local market inside out. Know the regulations, the permits you'll need.
Okay, homework first.
Absolutely. Again, a solid business plan. Realistic financial projections, startup costs, running costs. Where's the money coming from? How much profit do you really expect? Get it all down on paper.
The business case?
Critical.
Yeah.
Then compliance, get those licenses. Location is key too. Access to markets, resources like water and power, zoning laws. Pick the right spot.
Makes sense.
Then you build. The right housing, feeders, waterers, biosecurity from day one. Choose your breeds carefully, broilers, layers, or dual purpose that fit your plan. Implement your feeding plan, your vaccination schedule. Develop your marketing. How are you going to sell the meat and eggs?
Gotta find customer.
Exactly. And then think long term. How might you scale up? What other things could you diversify into later on? It starts with planning, but you need that forward look too.
Well, we have certainly covered a massive amount today, from the basic economics and how you set up the buildings, right through to sustainability, keeping birds healthy, the tech, breeding. It's a lot.
It really is.
But it's clear that doing this integrated approach, broilers and layers together, it offers real benefits. different income sources, using resources more efficiently, potential for being more sustainable.
Absolutely. It's definitely complex, no doubt about it.
Mhm.
But with we're really careful planning and applying these kinds of principles we've talked about, the potential for success is definitely there. It's quite promising, actually.
Yeah, it seems so. Okay, on that note, let's leave you with a final thought to chew on. Given how interconnected everything is in poultry farming, the genetics, the feed, the environment, the market, all of it, if you could pick just one area in an integrated farm to optimize perfectly, which one do you think would yield the most surprising, maybe unexpected, positive impact on the whole operation's success and sustainability? Something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into starting, managing, and growing your very own chicken farm. We've covered everything from separating your broody broilers from your excellent layers to nailing their specific diets and biosecurity. We even unscrambled the secrets of breeding, batch management, and making your farm sustainable and profitable with modern tech. So, why did the chicken cross the road, go to the library, and check out a book? Because he wanted to be a well-read poultrygeist. If you found this episode helpful and want to hatch more great content, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single Cluckin' episode. Until next time, keep those coop dreams alive.